Do you think Trump could get a third term? I mean, I guess that's a question. I'm not. I believe the Constitution of the United States of America when we talk about the second term, third term thing for Trump. I know he's got the MAGA hats that say Trump 2028, and there's a lot of advocates out there. There's no bigger advocate for Trump's third term than the person that Trump would help keep out of prison than Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon keeps talking about a third term, and I think this goes to MAGA's little strategy here that as long as they talk about something over and over and over and over again, then it becomes reality, even if it's unconstitutional, as some might say. So I'm going to show you an interview or parts of an interview that Steve Bannon had with The Economist and how they ask him about this third term bullshit. And rather, this is realistic or unconstitutional. He believes that it is constitutional. So if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you're going and subscribing. Like and subscribe right now, wherever you're at. Make sure if you can hit the bell notification because you're not going to want to miss a single video here. More and more people are setting up the notifications so that they don't miss the Tony Michaels content. So go ahead and hit that. And also go to yourpocketconstitution.com. We're going to talk about the Constitution today, so you might want to go download one. If you go to yourpocketconstitution.com, you can get a free download of the Constitution. You also get an opportunity to get 10% off an actual Constitution, but you get that digital download for free at yourpocketconstitution.com. That way you can read the 22nd Amendment and see what Steve Bannon's talking about. See, speaking of what Steve Bannon's talking about, here's a little bit of the interview that he did with The Economist about Donald Trump running in an unconstitutional third term.
Well, he's going to get a third term. So Trump 28, Trump is going to be president in 28, and people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
So what about the 22nd Amendment? All right, let's talk about the 22nd Amendment here. Because Steve Bannon says he's definitely going to get a third term. So let me read you the first couple lines of the 22nd Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. Again, go to yourpocketconstitution.com and you get a free download of this so you can have it on your cell phone, your tablet, or your computer. And then you can get a physical one if you want 10% off there. You'll get a chance to get that. Let me read this. 22nd Amendment, Section 1. It reads, no person shall be elected to the office of president more than twice. Okay, let me read that again. I think this is very important. No person shall be elected to the office of president more than twice. Now, the 22nd Amendment actually goes on to describe if a president of the United States wouldn't be the president anymore, like maybe someone like Richard Nixon would resign, or a president might die in office. You know, I mean, cholesterol could kick in. Here's thinking to the, here's praying to the gods, right? But it defines if the vice president were to become the president or someone else would become the president during that president's term, like how many terms they can run after that. But specifically in Trump's case, it says no person shall be elected to the office of president more than twice. I want you to consider those words, shall be elected to the office more than twice. Because I think Steve Bannon's got a plan here. Actually, as a matter of fact, he kind of says he's got a plan here. Take a listen.
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is. But there's a plan, and President Trump will be the president in 28.
Oh, he has alternatives. Okay, so let's think about this. Like, how could they get around the Constitution? Because that's really what he's saying here. Steve Bannon is not saying that they're going to. Maybe Steve Bannon actually believes that the Constitution won't exist by 2028. Maybe that's kind of what he's talking about. I'm not really sure. But I want to go back in history, not too far, just a couple of years, when Donald Trump was running in 2024. Okay. I did a lot of commentary on the 14th Amendment, Section 3. If you guys remember, there was a court case in the state of Colorado and several others, but Colorado is the one that worked its way to the Supreme Court, where Republicans inside Colorado were trying to keep Donald Trump off the ballot. Okay? Trying to keep Donald Trump off the ballot. And they were unsuccessful. They were unsuccessful using the 14th Amendment, Section 3, to keep Donald Trump off the ballot. Remember that language, the ballot. Okay? Let's continue a little bit what is said here.
We had longer odds in 16 and longer odds in 24 than we got in 28. And President Trump will be the president of the United States, and the country needs him to be president of the United States. We have to finish what we started. And the way we finish it through Trump is a vehicle. I know this will drive you guys crazy, but he's a vehicle of divine providence. He's an instrument. He's very imperfect. He's not churchy, not particularly religious, but he's an instrument of divine will. And you can tell this of how he's pulled this off. We need him for at least one more term.
Okay, so he's divine. In other words, God sent him, or he's the Messiah, or he's anointed, or some dumb shit. You know, I don't know. And I guess anyone can read into that exactly how they want to read into Steve Bannon's language. But what Steve Bannon is saying, I believe, is that he needs Donald Trump to be president because he doesn't want to be criminally prosecuted for the things that maybe Donald Trump, Steve Bannon, and others would be criminally prosecuted for if he didn't have the protection of the presidency. That's my personal belief. Now, what Steve Bannon's motivations are here to keep Donald Trump as the president of the United States for an unconstitutional third term against the 22nd Amendment, you know, I mean, anyone could read what they want into it. What I want to know more importantly is not why they want him to be the president of the United States for an unconstitutional third term. I honestly don't believe that is the thing that's most important thing here. I think the most important thing here is how they plan on doing it. Because if we, the people, right, the Constitution, we the people are going to stop the person being elected in office more than twice, according to the Constitution, then maybe we would want to know their plan. Now, there is one plan that kind of, if you think about it, it makes a little bit of sense. Like J.D. Vance would run as president, right? And Donald Trump would run as vice president, which there's nothing in the Constitution that prevents that. Donald Trump can hold the office of vice president. Well, wouldn't J.D. Vance just say, well, I'm going to make the vice president the president? You know, I mean, I guess they could say that, right? But that seems far-fetched, even for MAGA. Even for Trump, that seems far-fetched. And there's a lot of far-fetched grifts out there if you haven't noticed. I think something is more obvious here. Take a listen to what Steve Bannon says, and I think it has a lot to do with the 14th Amendment, Section 3, that Colorado case. Take a listen.
Right, and he'll get that in 28.
You're not driving me crazy. I'm really I'm trying to understand the coherence of the things you've just told me in the last few minutes. On the one hand, you've said the Constitution is fit for purpose. Secondly, you've said that President Trump needs another term, even though the 22nd Amendment makes pretty clear that he cannot have another term.
Why does it make that clear?
Because he's on his second term already.
At some point in time, we will make sure we go through Zanny and define all those terms.
But even if you find a way to undermine you will be undermining the spirit of that amendment, even if you find some way around it. And
the spirit of that amendment, if you find some way around it. Now, again, he's about to load up here. He's about to tell you exactly what I think is their plan. Take a listen here. I think he's about to say it.
To those
Can the American people, if the American people, with the mechanisms we have, put Trump back in office, are the American people tearing up the Constitution? Would that be tearing up?
Well,
would the American people be going against the spirit of the Constitution, ma'am?
I think yes.
I think yes, they would go against the spirit of the Constitution because it says it right there. But I think Steve Bannon is giving away his plan here. I think their plan is the same plan they had in the last election, was to put him on the ballot. It does not say in this 22nd Amendment, it does not say no person shall be on the ballot for the office of the president more than twice. Matter of fact, Donald Trump has been on the ballot more than twice for the president of the United States. Right? If you think about it, Donald Trump has been on the ballot 3 times for the presidency. 3. And I think Steve Bannon is planning on Donald Trump being on the ballot for a 4th time. What's stopping them? What is stopping them? The 14th Section 3 didn't stop them from having Donald Trump on the ballot. The 22nd Amendment does not prevent Donald Trump from being on the ballot. If you read the 22nd Amendment, it does not prevent it. And really, honestly, I believe Steve Bannon's plan is this, that if the Republican Party allows Donald Trump to be the nominee, to be on the ballot, even though it seems unconstitutional, but it may not be in the language, if he is elected to the presidency of the United States for a third term in 2028, the argument will be, well, the Constitution says no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than once, but Donald Trump was. That will be their argument. And I know there's going to be a lot of people like, oh, the legality, oh, legals and the courts and blah, 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 yakety schmackety. But I'm telling you, Steve Bannon, Donald Trump, and MAGA do not care about the law. If you think Donald Trump and MAGA and Steve Bannon care about the rule of law or the Constitution in general, good luck to you on that. This is all salesmanship. This is all a grift, and the grift to sell the sheep, the MAGA sheep, whatever MAGA sheep they may have left in 2028 is the Constitution does not prevent Donald Trump from being on the ballot more than twice. He's been on the ballot more than twice already for the presidency of the United States. It just prevents him from being elected. But once he is elected, the Constitution doesn't say that you can't seat someone. It just says that shall not be elected, but Donald Trump will be. That is their plan, folks. That is their plan. And I know it seems boneheaded. I know it seems far-fetched. But what isn't in MAGA world? What isn't in the world of Trump? What isn't seem boneheaded or far-fetched? Just be prepared and come here and make sure that you like and subscribe this video anywhere you are on the internet, on social media, on YouTube, Substack. Make sure you're finding us and clicking that bell notification. You're not going to want to miss a single video that I break down. And get your pocket constitution. You're going to want to have it when you're talking to people. You get a free download at yourpocketconstitution.com. That's yourpocketconstitution.com. And you get to read the 22nd Amendment for yourself. And you get a chance to get 10% off a physical constitution. So go to yourpocketconstitution.com and come back here for more chaos, because we'll have it for you and we'll deliver it up for you and we'll give you what is real and what isn't. Until next time.